What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Just got over here to the shop, B&K Performance. Got Randy's hot rod back here. Randy is back there. John, Brian's coming out. We got work to do. Let me show you what we got going on. Don't forget to go to turbojohnracing.com, grab some merchandise, comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks, guys.
If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shoot tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. You're never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Randy, what you got?
Another toy.
Another toy. Man, look at that.
Scavenge pump.
Scavenge pump. Where you gonna mount the said scavenge pump?
I'm gonna drill a hole in the fuel tank right here. Mount it right there with 3 sheet metal screws.
3 sheet metal screws.
We're gonna leave one out.
JB welded.
Yeah.
Make it so it don't leak. We have some work to do. The biggest thing, I mean, there again, I told you guys we had figured out what we thought we were going to do. Talked to Nigel and those guys. They've got a very low mount turbo. A lot of people's got low mount turbos. Shannon Young, John Dock. And so Randy's front end is right there at the turbo. That's about the distance right where it is. So he's trying to figure out what's the best place to mount this thing. And we got some dash 10 lines. Nigel runs a dash 12 line from his turbo to the pump. And of course we had to rig up some fittings.
We're not as fast as Nigel is.
Now this is heavy. So I mean, you know, it is what it is. We got, at some point they didn't have this fitting here that went straight to a 10. So that's I think it's a 3/8 to an 8. And then it's got the adapter here. That's what Parker had. So that's what we got.
Perfect.
Now this pump, I mean, it was expensive. It was like $500 for that pump. So hopefully it will do what we need it to do. Now it says it will pull up to like 4 feet of like distance. So, but the problem is if you mount it real high, then we're gonna have a problem potentially with still the oil running back from the pump down that way. Now we are gonna put a check valve on it. So, I mean, we could potentially put the check valve off of the turbo if that thing is still suck.
We can move this over and put it right here.
Yeah, I mean, all right, we gotta do some thinking. And honestly, Randy, I like the best idea that I like so far is right down there on the bottom of that fuel cell. If it'll fit. I mean, you could come off of the frame and build a bracket somehow and then mount it there, and then that way it's not much above the actual turbo. So I mean, I don't know, we're gonna have to figure it out. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. We're gonna go ahead and take the turbo off here in a second and go ahead and disconnect the drain line and go ahead and clean all the oil out of the turbo, and then we're gonna have to wire this thing up at some point. Probably right now we'll just wire it off of just a switch until we can get Devin to walk us through the process. He wants to use the smart wire that is behind the dash here. He said it was very easy, but very easy is a relative term. Every time I mess with smart wire, it's a 2 to 3 week process, it feels like. It's a disaster. So, all right, let's figure it out.
'Cause that's what it takes.
This is a work in progress. So our plan was to put the return here, but when you look down in there, this thing goes, it's going to hit that, and then it's going to hit the cap, and it's going to flood this. So that's not going to work. So we're going to cap this one back, and Randy has underneath back here, that used to be, that actually is a number 10 return from the pump. So Brian's cutting a piece of metal now, so we are going to mount it. We're going to do it right here on this. And it's just going to go a short piece of line from here to here. We're going to put a check. Check valves are generally designed to push through, not pull through. But where we had it over there, it's just, I mean, it's just one of those things. We are going to leave, we're going to take this off, but we're going to leave it on there because when we're priming the pump with this, we need to take this loose so we don't flood it. So the other key thing we're going to have to do is this thing is going to have to run the pump. It's going to be slightly uphill, but not much. But it's going to have to run 30 seconds or so after the car shuts off. And then once we shut the car off, then hopefully that'll get all the oil out of there. And then all the oil from here. Hopefully it'll be good enough to where we'll be fine and we have solved our oiling issue. That's our hope. All right, so of course, the pipes were full of oil again. So Randy's out there cleaning that stuff off now. So once he gets those cleaned off, Brian is going to weld this on. We'll put this back together. The oil in the turbine housing, I mean, it's just one of those things where just as much oil is in the turbine housing as it was in the compressor housing. Now, it's not as much as it has been in the past, but it's still oil there. So it's going to smoke a little bit while we crank it up. By a little bit, I mean like kill all the mosquitoes in the area. So we'll make sure we pull it outside of the garage, outside of the shop when we're doing that, so that we can kill the bugs outside. And hopefully we got this thing whipped with this pump. Randy talked to Devin, and so once we get the pump permanently mounted, Devin is going to do us a wiring harness to somehow connect to that and connect to the race pack, I think he said. So, and then I'll just have to plug and play and might have to do some programming possibly, which that's what takes the time. But hopefully it won't be that bad. In the meantime, probably what we'll do for this weekend is we'll probably just put we'll run it up there with like a toggle switch or something, just so that we can run it and turn it off as we need to. The battery and stuff is easy to get to, so it'd be easy to just run that through a normal toggle switch for the time being. And our game plan is to, cycle the pump, of course, for a little while, 30 seconds or so after the car shuts off. And if it's running, it should be sucking out all the oil from the turbo. And then, of course, anytime the car is running, we'll be doing the same thing. The Scavenge pump will be on and running. So, it just is what it is. All right, guys, so Randy got the turbo cleaned out. Brian got the thing welded on the plate. He had some red paint. He painted that. So we just found out where we're going to run it for the time being. Devin's got some power lugs up here, so we're just going to run it to the lug so that when the power comes on, when we power it up, then we get power to the pump. So that'll work for us temporarily until we can figure out how to wire that thing through the smart wire, which is up there behind the dash, which is, I think we're going to have a relay, probably another solid state relay, because I don't think, well, the smart wire may be able to handle it. I think you can tie some of them together to make it so that you can get, I don't know, we'll have to get to that in a few minutes, or a few days. So, made the line. It is, we got a little bit of a catch basin, but it's not a ton. But the good thing is, I think if this does not work, the pump is a little higher than the turbo. So we're going to need to let it run after the car shuts off, at least, 20 or 30 seconds. While I'm pulling the data log is a good time to, let it run as well. So that'll be good. We got the check valve in here. So this is going to stop the oil from coming back. But I mean, theoretically, probably we didn't need this check valve. But, we'll stick it in there since we got it, and we'll see how it works out. So I think, we'll be trying this in a second. We'll prime it, crank it. It's going to smoke pretty good, like I said, because it's got oil in the turbine housing. pump is much quieter. Turn the ignition back on. Oh no, you don't have to turn the ignition on. It stays running. That's right. It's running as long as the power is on. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely working because the smoke went away.
Yeah.
I think it is restricted.
It might.
I think the feed line needs to be restricted. The seals of the turbo.
I mean, you can hear it pumping. Go ahead and hop out.
I don't think that fixed that oiling problem. That's the first time it's ever went away.
Yeah. That's much better. That is much better. So you can hear the little pump. The pump is pretty quiet. That sounds a lot better. I think we're good. I guess we'll find out at some point here in the near future. So we got to work on lowering the back of the car some. We're gonna do that. We are for sure going to lower it some. We got some room. We can get it tucked up under there a little bit better. The front of the car is pretty low though, so we'll have to play with that. All right, guys. Well, I guess we're done. Success. I think we got a pump that's working and a turbo that's not smoking as bad at the moment. So it's just a matter of if we're going to be good to go or not. All right, guys, comment, like, and subscribe. See y'all.